Ta-da. All right. Hey, Forge of Mars will probably be here in a little bit, and I am working on this paint over. I wish I knew the faction, and even half the time when I know the faction, I forget it on some of them. But this thing was really cool. It almost, I don't even know why and this is just so weird because you would never draw this sort of thing, but like, well, I wouldn't say never, but it was like the pose reminded me of like a Frazetta drawing or painting. And so I just had, I don't even know why. There's like probably some walking figure or something that my mind is picturing when I see this miniature. Try to figure out the lighting at the bottom right now. It has a nice coming off the rock, and then I think it needs some dark behind it. Oh, why is this not working? Oh, is that because I turned it off? That should be fine. All right, there we go. Where was I? Hey, y'all. Thanks for joining. Going to. Apparently, I cannot. Still can't draw and speak at the same time. Industrial. No. I've done this a million times. I can't figure out where the tool's at. Where is it? Where is it? This one. I want the foreground light, like the one in front of them, to push up more. Like I want it more separated from the one directly behind them, and then I want the one in the sky. So I'm trying to give like a triple layered effect here. Give it some depth, but not quite sure how I'm going to pull it off yet. Oh, the other thing I found, and I got to show when Forge of Mars gets here, is on the other, they have for the iPad, they have uh, this game, Mechanicus, and I can put it on there. And I was like, oh, I'll play some, on the stream or whatever. I wasn't sure if Forge of Mars or anyone ever saw that, but it was cool that they had it right on there. I think I played like the first like little mission thing, and they always want you, you read all the text, and in this one, it like tells a story, and part of it is like, hey, you know, the route you choose or the thing you choose to do, there's usually like hints in the story, but my attention span's always so short. I'm like blast through the story and try to get into a mission. But I only played one of them yet, but I want to check that out later. Such a cool minigun. I love the barrel, the heat burnt barrel. I'm gonna put an overlay layer on. If you ever mess around and Procreate, overlay is often how I lighten an area. Like I have an area of multiply over it. So I kind of try to darken, and then sometimes I play on that later and like smudge things and all that. And then I brighten it up in certain areas to drive the eyeballs. Oh, that'll be cool. Looks like he's kind of on, it can't be on a cliff edge. It looks, I gotta fill it in the right way. And there we go. Get a little bit. Oh, Engine Phil. Hey, thanks for making it. I didn't see it here on the bottom. And King Crimson. Hey, appreciate it. I had the screen closed off on there. Um, Crimson, I don't know if you've ever seen it. Have you ever seen this game? How do I do this? Mechanicus or Mechanicum? Yeah, it's Mechanicus. It's like a strategy. It's almost XCOM-y, and I'm waiting if um, Forge of Mars gets here later. I wanted to like play a mission with them, and we'll try it out. What are you working on, Phil? I know you got to be working on something, some sort of cool project. Oh, you okay? You have. Have you ever played it, Crimson? And glad you survived the hurricane. Man, everyone you get flooded, man. That is a pain. I remember I was probably a couple of years ago, I think yeah, Hobby Vices. I remember he was like cleaning out his house because of the storm and it had flooded, and then everything's in the garage and you gotta go, man, that's like such a huge hassle. It's like life's hard enough, let alone when your place gets flooded. Oh, Phil's working on a Titan commission. Did you post it yet on Twitter? Or are you like in the basic stage of assembly or something? You don't like the AdMech King Crimson? That's almost surprising. I wonder why. When I was getting back into 40K a couple years ago, that was one of, normally I'm probably like I mean, everybody probably half is, but Space Marine player, Space Wolves in particular, like kind of at heart. But when I got back, I was like, oh, there's new stuff, and the um, Mechanicus really grabbed me with their chicken walkers. Those were cool, and there was a lot of cool stuff that came. And I love the idea of like with the Mechanicus, even for like modeling or something, you can basically do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Because he's got like so many body parts and all that different stuff that you can just do whatever. So that's why I started getting some of those. I can slap on the score. Yeah, yeah, do it, Engine Phil. Please do. Greetings, Edicus. Thanks for stopping by. as I work on this one for a little bit and then maybe game some. I was like, it was, I played the game, I forget where, and I saw it was on sale on the, well, I don't think it was on sale, but it was like $10, on the iPad. And I was like, well, I don't really play anything, but on an iPad, maybe I'll, play a little more. And I was like, it's usually like short missions or whatever. Goofy nerd boys. They are goofy nerd boys. They got cool Titans though. Um, there needs to be like smoke or something in the front, and I need to heat that lava up somehow. Let me put another layer of multiply here and darken this. See where we're at. Okay, that's better. Sometimes I need to figure out what's tricking my eye. Like you'll look at it when you're trying to like match it and you don't fully understand what you're seeing or why, and that's like it's like oh man. And then if you don't get it, you just don't get it. It's like what am I missing? It's like you're I'll sometimes be trying to like put a light source somewhere where it shouldn't be, but I don't like see that yet, and it'll be like after a while, and you're like, oh, I get it. That's the way it was supposed to be. It's like doing a little bit of a puzzle in your mind. It does help you learn though, because instead of just going and doing your own thing the whole way through, you're starting with someone else. You're starting with light and you're starting with that, and then you're like trying to figure out how to match it. Yeah, I'm doing okay. There's been like tedious, just real life stuff, man. That's been whatever, but such as it is. What faction does this look like? I know you guys know. That's the cool thing, like streaming and having a little bit of a following. I could like tweet if there's any 40. I feel like I have a 40K supercomputer at my fingertips. It's like I can give the most obscure model or need like a little bit of tidbit or some piece of lore, and I would just post it on Twitter and be able to get the right answer. It's like obscure, like, hey, what was on book 6, page 3, what the one guy said? This I'll come back and tell you exactly what it was. It cracks me up. Maybe I'll have some gray smoke. Yeah, maybe if I can pull off gray smoke coming off the barrel. And I probably need to do this. Does look 30. Yeah, it does look 30K. And then I probably always get biased because I see a studded shoulder pad like that, and I always think 30K now. Oh, that's they're done. Ta-da! A nice silhouette. I'm a genius, yo. That would be cool though. Like a good silhouette with that background. That's a strong image. It's not like the perfect silhouette for it, but with a good one, I think that's a good huh. This is like my learning technique because it, I mean obviously know some now of how I like them, but I didn't know like a lot of these like what layer effects they did. So then I would place it over, this is the same image placed over the other one, and then I adjust the opacity and stuff like that just to see, if you bump up the highlights or figure out what does what. see, that's it. So then I probably need to go back over with the light. And I find it's so much like real painting. You're I almost end up like layering in this. Like, okay, you layer on some dark and then go on the light. Like when I was painting more physical, it was like what? Thick on thin, light on dark. So you'd paint a thin, like dark layer, and then you build up your thicker and like whiter paints on top of it. What have you been up to, Eutychus? Are you working on any, doing any hobbying? And what about you, Crimson? Any hobby right now? Or what's the latest thing you worked on or latest game you played? There, now let's put some foreground back in. Don't like it. Still wrong color. More this way. You got into Dungeons and Dragons. You know, it's so I haven't played. Oh gosh, I don't be like 30 years. I don't even know. No, I mean, well, almost 25 years or so. So somewhere around there. But I I love, that was probably my first like foray into these type of games. Was I literally it was in it's got had to have been the 70s. It was my cousin and I saw a Dungeons and Dragons book over at his place. And that's kind of what got me into it. And that was quite a bit. So I always liked it, and just fantasy, all that kind of stuff. And it seems like online I see it mentioned a lot, right? Like I'll see like because I'm probably, I follow the hobby stuff. I don't particularly follow what's going on in D&D, but I don't like, I don't follow any of the hashtags or anything per se, but a lot of times in the trending areas in that. And I mean it seems to be like more popular than ever for itself. I mean, which is really cool, obviously. And I do see some miniatures, but I don't really ever see much D&D miniatures in my feed. I mean, maybe if I went and obviously searched them out, I should, but I almost thought I would see more of that stuff, and I don't too much, which is kind of surprising. Oh yeah, that's a perfect use. You've been using spare warhammer pieces to make models for it. Heck yeah. So many 3D, like so many independent artists making cool stuff right now. King Crimson, I went hard on the hobby a couple weeks back. Got a pretty good looking guy going. Haven't been gaming much or anything. Yeah. Yeah. It's probably like hard to game during the middle of a hurricane. And game in addition to the terrariums. Desk is way too full. All right. Yeah, I should be all right. Terrarium is like the little, no, I don't want to say garden, but like little plants or whatever that gotta go on your desk, right? I always thought those were exceedingly cool. And I don't want, I don't keep, I like plants and everything, but if I keep one and then I go and it starts dying, it's like I feel guilty. I'm like, I can't kill a plant. I'm like, this thing is, I'm like, even a plant. I'm like, dude, I don't want to put this thing's life in my hands. And then you come back and it's like withering. So it's like, yeah, yeah, I'm slowly killing this plant. Oh, I feel guilty. So I'm even, I couldn't have a dying terrarium, even if it's plants. I'm like, are you murderer? Still think, I agree, dude. I've been looking at those. See, that's what I'm talking about. So I don't follow those either, but a lot of the stuff from, the it'll be like Asia because it'll be like it's like totally different language, but it'll still pop up on my feed with the cool different robots and everything. And I've done a couple, and yeah, I want to do more of those, and I want to do more battle tech. I'm having like a style thing where I haven't quite figured out, especially for the battle tech stuff. I've been struggling a little bit like stylistically with that. And so there we go. Lee's in the chat. Good to see you, Lee. Hope life has been well. Oh wait, Lee, did you see this part? I was This is like if you were a kid with no friends, I was gonna have you on stream and then have you play a game with me. So it's like, I have a friend, someone's gonna play a game with me, even though it's one player. I'm like one of those friends who invites you over and then plays the video game in front of you and doesn't let you play. That's what we were gonna do. We do that for stream, dude. You can make a closed terrarium and it has no maintenance. I know, and I really would. I love the look of them. Someone did, and it's on Etsy or something. And so I don't, you don't know if it's just like whatever, but I think they took moss, right? So they'd have these different types of mosses, and then I don't know what process, but like freeze dried it or whatever. So then it's not even alive anymore. But then they put it in the display kind of case, and it looks so cool. And I want something like that for my desk because I love the greenery of life and just seeing plants. Like it's oddly soothing for me. And so I want something like that because it's almost like a visual Zen garden that you can put your mind in. And so I've been thinking about one of those. Josh A, appreciate you stopping by. Oh, wait, I'm like coming soon. I put the wrong. There we go. I'm babbling, not working, whatever. Oh, awesome, Engine Phil. Thanks for dropping that in. I'm going to check that out. Yeah, enjoy. Just look at the back of your head. Hey, did you ever have a friend like that? Like I had one friend. He could be like, "I want to see this new thing," and then like the dude would like play for like he'd want to play for like an hour. I'm like, he probably would play for like over an hour. Be like, dude, like like let's share this thing already. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's put a little smoke coming off this barrel and see how we feel about that. We feel about smoke. Oh, I didn't even do that. See, that's what I do. I started doing the lighting down there and then abandoned it because I was talking. See, that's where you get a little tricky because gray over gray, you kind of start looking muddy. Yeah, this is Stripes Marine. Oh, Forza Mars. Oh, wait. Whose else did I see? Yeah, there were some good ones in here. I have I don't even think I put it in here, and I might not be able to get to it today. An Iron Man and Miniatures Apothecary had these three squats in a hallway. God, that picture was great. Like it was cover worthy. Like the walls up top, like how everything slanted and the composition came together in perspective, and like it was three of them like posed kind of perfectly. It felt so on point, man. I really enjoy, especially now that I've followed longer. You follow a lot of people making miniatures, and you just see them get like so like good. Everything from painting to the photography, the lighting, and it goes through this process, and it's like I just because I think we all nerd out over seeing this stuff, but it's cool. Needs more sparkle. It always does. Oh, hey man. Yeah, if you, oh gosh, go, Josh, tweet that thing and let me retweet it again. Yeah, I'm glad you stopped in. Josh made the 3D model for his stuff is really cool. The old keep, I don't know if I have it on this PC or tablet. I'll have to show that. Really cool. And it has like all these, it has like a couple, like the buildings to it for upgrades. And what was it? A ballista? What is the proper term for it? Like the huge crossbow. I saw that you could get mounted on it, and some walls. And it's kind of like an homage to the old ones from Games Workshop. It's like different, but it's just got that like size feel and that oldness to it. So definitely, I'm going to retweet that, but definitely go check his out if you're at all in the look for a fantasy building. More sparkle in the grim dark future. There's only more sparkle. Yeah, no problem, man. It's cool stuff. I'm a fan. The, I'm a sucker for 3D. It's one of those things where like, dude, I should have spent so much time doing 3D because then you could, obviously sculpt the stuff and make the miniatures and, design them and all that. So it's like you get that bit of joy. Like I see him, it's like, oh man, I should be making 3D. And the same with like Dark Fantastic Mills. Gosh, that guy's stuff is always just like speaks to me artistically too. He's got great design sense. It's a proxy for the old Warhammer 40 Fantasy Battle Fortified Manor. Yeah, it looked great on a table with the armies around it. That's the other thing. Like the old school Warhammer Fantasy Battle, any game where there's a bunch of banners and flags, I'm a sucker for. You can get me with that. Like that was like all the flags on the knights and everything they used to do. Oh my gosh, that stuff looks so cool. I saw someone. What did they do? They did Primaris Marines, but they made them in the poses of like the classic throwback Marines, and um, put all back banners on them, right? So it was like, I don't know, a squad of five or whatever, but they were all like posed out like the original ones, and then all had back banners. No problem, Edicus. You have a good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you're at in the world. I'll be on in a minute or two. Cool, cool, Forge. Yeah. And then I will make Forge and Mars play a game with me. Like, that's not how the streaming thing is supposed to work. No, don't like anything to do with that. That was just a waste of time. Yeah, that's it. You put, the ones that like fitting on and all that. I had a couple cool ones on when I played back in the day, and I have those like micro tip pens, and it was literally like, you put the kill count on it, and you keep the little dashes on, and then I'd try to be like, okay, this guy would have killed this guy, and kind of kept track of the kills, even though you're playing 40K and it's like more squad based. What we got here? Make sure I see when Lee comes in. Oh, there we go. Let's do this. Da-da! Dun dun dun!
Greetings and salutations.
How was the day?
Long, arduous. It was fought with dangers.
At
I was
least it probably,
challenged on the road by bandits.
at least it wasn't scorching hot out. That always makes everything worse.
No, it was wet, windy, very very windy. In fact, probably like the tail end of Hurricane Ian, because
Oh,
obviously
gotcha.
you get over in America, you get all the hardcore wind. We get the blowback. Um,
Yeah, the aftermath.
yeah, and we just go, oh, don't frightfully windy today. My crumpet has fallen out of.
I can't. The laundry will not hang on the line. Um, Josh A asked, "What software are you using right now?" I am in Procreate. I couldn't.
I'm
I
using
have a
Pantone.
Yeah, I have a Wacom tab, Wacom, or a Wacom, whatever they say. I say Wacom. So I have a Wacom tablet, and it's one where you draw right on the screen, full PC, all that stuff. And I used to use Corel Painter a lot. That it had like really good natural brush media, and it's still a great program. But once I got an iPad and I like use this program, it is so silky smooth, and like just how it saves and how it does everything. And for what I need it for in particular, like it's just like ideally suited. You're not like no like turning on the PC, no worry about saving everything. I just I can whatever flick out of this and it saves wherever. So I never like worry about losing it and all that. And so it just and for me, I wasn't. I like you're not at a desk on the PC on the whatever, so I can get up and be like, hey, I'm going to sit over here, or hey, I'll like even lay down and draw or whatever. So
And
it
the
works
reason why
well.
you never see artist's face on the screen is because he's in the Paris budgie smugglers on a reclining sofa in
No, no,
Cinderella. Um,
I'm so like no, because there's cameras on all these. So then literally like sometimes like in the summer I'll be like shirtless working, and it'll be like I'll be about to stream. I'm like, dude, put a shirt on, dude, because if some camera ever flips on, I'll be like sitting there shirtless, like what's up?
he's sitting there with his buff body, with all his
Yeah. Oh yeah.
muscles.
Oh, completely, dude.
This
I don't want him
empire.
seeing my six pack, dude.
Yeah. Obviously, it would be pornographic if he was
Yeah.
on to be seen on the screen. That's why it's a part with me.
uh,
I am the Metatron.
yeah.
I am the voice of the Emperor.
uh,
Because you are the voice.
hey, did you ever see that Mechanicus game I showed?
What, Mechanicus?
Yeah, this one. Wait, how do I do this
It's
thing?
the one when you're above and you've got a little squad of Skitari and stuff.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. I have
Have you ever
seen,
played?
I've never played it. I have seen it. The soundtrack is actually really, really good. Um,
Okay, so yeah,
it,
I always end up playing with sound down or whatever, but yeah.
no, no, no. It's very good for when you're doing a Mechanicum army. You just have that playing on YouTube in the background and feel very enriched and
Huh. I'll have
excited.
to listen to that one more. It's kind of cool how they did this one. The I found like I love these type of games, XCOM type stuff, and what I found is that there's a there's an ability. So what happens is you can get these basically. There's action points, but then consider you could grab action points like around the board, and then one of your units, so you have multiple units, but you can basically give all the free action points to one unit, right? So you basically, one unit might be able to take almost like three actions if he has the right weapons and the right stuff and that. So there's more combos as far as like, okay, it's not like this guy only moves four, this guy moves four, and this guy moves four. It's that now with extra ones, this other guy might move up to 12. You know what I mean? So you can kind
Yeah,
of like, what do you really want to do? Do you want to double run him up and start attacking this guy, or do you want to, try to save him and whatever? So it actually has a very cool I think mechanic for that. It makes it a little interesting because some of these can get very cookie cutter or whatever, but I find this one kept it pretty cool.
See you later, Eutychus. Eutychus has left
Later,
the building.
Eutychus. Eutychus has left the building. 9-pack abs.
That was
All
the
right.
thing from Something About Mary, wasn't it? The one of the hitchhikers.
Yeah.
His idea, like, you've heard of 7-second abs. Well, I've come up with a better idea. 6-second.
6-second abs.
But when you someone
Perfect,
come and
dude.
do 5-second abs? No, that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
shave a
5 seconds.
whole.
No, how can you do a workout in 5 seconds? 6 seconds. That's the key thing.
Yeah, Josh. He said, "Good stuff. Seems a popular choice. It's popular because, like, I don't know what it is now, but it was like $10 when I bought it, and it is super smooth." It says, "Unfortunately, ZBrush is a bit of a slog." And yeah, so ZBrush is one that I messed with, like, I don't know, 5 years ago or whatever, for the clay mesh, right? So, you start sculpting and doing all that, and very natural to me, like, feeling. I never got into the more in-depth stuff, but like you could definitely, like, start sculpting a face and at least get it kind of worked in and whatever. I didn't do anything ever really high end, but I was like, okay, you could definitely make it look like something. And I always like it. It was pretty like intuitive for that because it almost works like clay tools, but it's just one of those things where you have to spend more time doing it. But it was just so awesome to like create it and spin it and do all that. I do have a little bit. I mean, it's a super simplistic one, but in VR, they have some cool stuff where you can basically build like a 3D type model and then like have it all to scale, and that's really cool too.
It's always handy. If you have got the right tools for the job, it makes everything so much easier.
That is very true. That
Yeah.
is
So
very
I'm
true.
going to put some nails up. I wish I had a hammer. I'm going to use a pair of pliers instead.
Use the
Yeah.
back, yeah, the back end of the pliers or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully it will work.
Just hit it hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Give it a good old whack. That's what you want. Good whackage.
What did you get done, Lee, sir? I know you must have been working on some hobby stuff over the last week, two
Uh,
weeks.
oh, yeah. Painted a tank, um, which was very tanky. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was the last. That's I saw that. I think I stopped by your stream when you were working on
You did, yes. You popped in, and I went, "Look, tank! I can do other things apart from Titans."
that. What was it? Was that a Bane Lord? What was that thing?
Blade, yes.
Bane Blade? Okay, it was massive.
It was something for my friend and fellow live stream personality from the world of Twitch, Crystal McDowell, was
Oh yeah.
organising a paint along session for her
Mm-hmm.
other half for his birthday. So,
Yeah.
and he loves Imperial Guard, so everyone who was going to participate had to paint up a little Imperial Guard during the
Yeah.
live, stuff like that. Unfortunately, they were going to be doing the live stream when I was at work, so I wouldn't have been able to participate. So I asked, would it be okay if I did something beforehand for the day, so I can just
Gotcha.
post pictures and stuff? And she went, yeah, no worries, you can do that. And so because I was doing that, I thought, okay, I'll go a little bit bigger, and because my Bane blade had been sitting in a box for several years,
Oh,
and
seriously?
like I painted it up already as a Iron Warriors Bane blade,
Okay.
and I don't no longer have an Iron Warriors army. So I thought I've got to repaint
Uh,
it. I really wanted to do an Imperial Guard regiment, tank regiment sort of color scheme, and so the plan was last week because I've now got my days off back after kids are going back from to school and college.
oh yeah.
So I've got more time to hobby, and so I was going to start it on the Thursday, and then finish off on the Friday. And Thursday morning, my daughter wasn't feeling well, so
Yeah.
I had to stay at their place. But luckily, because I had other things to do as well,
Yeah.
and so her mum said, "Look, I'll hang around here for a little while. like for a couple of hours. If you want to head off, do your bits
Yeah.
for like 12:30, and then I'll go in. So I went, okay, no worries. So got back, got what I needed to do done in like half an hour, and then I just went cracking with an airbrush and got about 90% of it done in like
Okay. Yeah.
literally like an hour. It was. I didn't realize how quick I could do it just using
Yeah.
like airbrush on it. Sort of thing. So I
Oh
got
yeah.
base
Yeah.
scheme and the camo done, and then I went around and done some like pre-weathering sort of thing,
Hmm.
agrax or an airbrush. And so I'd done the majority of it in that morning. Sort of thing. But what actually took longer was deciding upon which decals to stick on the bloody thing and where. And that took me all of Friday night.
The details.
So yeah, bloody decals coming around here stealing our jobs. Um, so yeah, so I got that done, and then on the Saturday, they have like on her Discord, they've got like a Twitch chat and paint along
Hmm.
section, and everyone was posting up the pictures of what they were doing as they painted, and I just went ta-da! I painted which, if thinking about it, the time it took me to paint, I could have done it because she was on for about 4 or 5 hours,
Oh yeah.
so I
Well,
could have
but on
painted it
that, you would
myself.
never. To me, I wouldn't think that. You know what I mean? I would just naturally think, oh yeah, it's going to take longer.
Yeah, but yeah, well, obviously, if I'd done it just a guardsman, I would have done it
Yeah. True.
well, rather fast. So it's just a strange vibration noise from somewhere.
Oh, not online from in your house.
Oh, I'm in the office, so I think it might be the printer might be having a little bit of a fault.
Okay, I just didn't know if you had like feedback or something on my thing.
No, 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 nothing like that.
No, no,
No,
no,
sir,
no,
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 no, sir,
no,
you're a
sir.
bounder.
Chap, get up that hill. You don't need your legs.
Get up there, young one. You, you blackguard. I'll have you up. I'll report you
Slow and steady into that cannon fire.
into the breach, boys. The forlorn hope. And don't forget,
Uh,
if you die, pass your weapon on to the next person.
yeah, yeah.
Yes, good old days of
The old good
empire.
old days.
Fighting Napoleon. Yes. Yes. Oh, I have Dune news.
Dun 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 dun. Dun. I need a little breaking news thing, dude. A little
Yeah.
breaking news button. Here, he'll look at you. Wait, how do we?
The,
He's very interested right now in the Dune news. The Marine. He's looking.
it's like, oh, hi guys, we've got
What's
something
up?
interesting here.
What's the Dune
Um,
news, bro?
what you hear? What you
What'd
hear?
you hear, man? Psst,
What you hear, dude?
I got
Um,
I got car insurance.
your house is at risk if you do not keep up repayments. Um, yeah, it's well, it's Dune related news
Oh, King Crimson
because
came running back.
oh, very good. It was in the next room.
Hmm.
Yeah, basically they've cast the two primary characters for the TV series project they were working on, the Sisterhood, and the Sisterhood is based 10,000 years before the events of Dune, because you may or may not know that Dune starts in the year 10,191. It's
10,191.
mentioned
Okay.
a couple of times in the David Lynch version.
Hmm.
So everyone goes, but wait, that means it's 1991. That's like 1991. What's going on? They seem to say. Um, but the thing is, it's not quite that, or 191 years, because it's not AD, it's BG is the year, and it goes from the time of the Battle of Carino, where House Carino took their name from, and became the first imperial house, And
Oh, look at that lore.
so the Dune universe is probably around about, I think it's around about the mid 24,000s, something like that.
Okay, so that is roughly where it would be.
Yeah. So the new calendar starts as BG from the creation of the Bene Gesserit,
Oh,
and
really? That's what it
yeah,
stands for?
yeah. So the sisterhood, the two ladies playing the main characters are Harkonnen's sisters, who
Okay.
are basically these proto Bene Gesserit as the start of the formulation of the sisterhood to become known as the Bene Gesserit. Um,
Yeah.
so it was created by these two Harkonnens, and one of the lady actresses, Emily Watson, I think her name is.
Okay.
Um, she was in Chernobyl. So if you've seen Chernobyl, she was the female scientist who
Huh.
was running around doing all the research and stuff. She's one
So
of them.
what is that's going into production or something? What is it?
Well, they've cast them, so that's what they do first. Obviously, find the actors and
Okay, so that's what
actresses.
they were working on was casting. Okay, yeah.
So they've named the two main characters. So these two Harkonnen sisters, who are integral to the creation of the Bene Gesserit. So I think it might be based on some of the stuff that what they're called, Kevin J. Anderson and James. Not James Herbert, is it? It's Frank Herbert's son, Brian Herbert,
Oh, okay.
who basically because they finished off the Dune series with uh, Sandworms of Dune and Hunters of Dune.
Okay.
Basically,
Yeah.
oh, we
I
found the
remember
stuff.
I
We
didn't read
found,
it, but I remember those for sure.
we found all the notes. We found Frank's notes in a cupboard underneath the stairs.
Yeah.
We found it and we made a story because it was
Yeah.
meant to be a book 7. But they said it's too much. It's too much for one book. We need two books.
Yeah.
Two, not one,
Yeah.
two.
It was explicit in his notes.
Yeah, it says I've written too much shit here. You're gonna need two
You
books.
gotta
You
make
won't
two
be able
more
to hold
books.
it. One book too heavy. You build houses out of it. So they broke it down into two. And yeah, but cunningly they actually introduced some of the characters that they'd already written for the prequel books that they'd already started during the Butlerian Jihad series. So yeah, that all ties in now. It's all conveniently wasn't his idea
Yeah.
at all, but there was notes, and so the sisterhood is back from them. So I would need to look it up again because my brain is a little bit
Yeah.
disjointed. So,
I
but yeah, it could be Butlerian Jihad times because I think
man,
that's when they sort of
so
came around.
so what? They had success with this and they figure, hey, we can try to expand the universe with another movie type of thing. Is that what it seems?
I think they're trying to keep the same sort of like proto aesthetic of Dune,
Yeah.
but from a different point. So they're not impacting because we all obviously know Dune. What
Yeah,
happened
yeah. So you
there.
don't want to mess with that. You
Yeah,
want
so
to,
especially
yeah.
10,000 years, I think would be safe.
Mm-hmm.
And Harkonnens are still around. There's Atreides, um, House Carino, and most of the houses that go on to become part of the Landsraad. Um,
Yeah. So
so
they're almost doing like what Game of Thrones did in that
mm,
way. Okay.
yeah, with House of the Dragon. Well, again, because House of the
I
Dragon.
got to admit, I generally hate that.
Mm,
Like it's like I don't. It's almost like, oh yeah, it was past. I want to know what the rest of the story is. Like when they went back, and I was like, okay, even like Star Wars did it, and all the quality of the movie aside, or however it felt, but just the fact that they were like, oh, we're gonna go tell these. It was kind of like, oh man, I want to know where it's going in the future. You know what I mean? It was still cool, but I'm always it, it's. And I get why they do that because, like you said, they don't want to. You start telling the rest of the story. It's like what was that Star Wars book that came out right after those movies, and then with Thrawn and that?
Oh, that was Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, and then it
That
was like,
should have
hey, then
that.
yeah,
Oh, see, that's the problem. I reckon Heir to the Empire would have been a better like sequel series to do in the stories. But the problem with that is it happens quite like 12 years after the end
yeah,
of Return of the Jedi, and we were already 30 years after that, practically. Um, so that's why they went. But they should have done that. They should have done that as the thing, and either said it was set later, perhaps. I don't know. It would have
yeah,
been it would have been a better series than, and it basically, because they in there the Emperor returns in that, so you can take that as what
yeah,
happened
yeah,
in the Force Awakens, the last ones, that one. So they took elements from it, but it would have been I think, a much better way than all these other bits and pieces that they went with. Um, but again, they couldn't do. It's because of the time, um, unless they recast the main characters, which obviously that
well,
would
yeah, yeah,
be,
they were trying to capitalize on them being around still.
yeah, and killing them off. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I'm not the newer Star Wars movies, just not the biggest fan of overall. Even when it and like that was my thing, and I get it or whatever, but like the Anakin bothered me. like like I wasn't keen on that version of the character, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, I mean, I'm like, I guess like he's supposed to be like a whiny kid or whatever, but it just the I don't know if it was the acting or the character or whatever. Something stood out to him. Like I could, whatchamacallit did brilliant. Like the Qui-Gon Jinn and even what's his face as
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. Like I thought that was perfect. I thought and Natalie Portman, I was always like a Natalie Portman fan, and her performance in that seemed really dry. Like it was very, and so that to me, like those two, like seemed like they had just their performance, and you know what I mean. I'll mix in a little bit what they said, like story or overdoing it or whatever, but like just something about those two, how it was all handled with those, were just kind of like it wasn't and I mean, maybe it's the bar is set all high because you're thinking of like Han and Leia and whatever, you know what I mean? But I was like, okay, it was definitely like a steps down on that scale for me.
Yeah, the prequels were, a lot of like the younger generations. The prequels are their Star Wars.
Yeah,
So,
and there was awesome stuff in it that I really dug. So it's not like, and then the newer ones that came out now, it was a little more, even more like removed. Except, man, I really did love what was that one? I think it was like the first one out, and
Force
and
Awakens.
yeah, that was awesome, and I didn't even mind the other one that a lot of people didn't like, but I have to rewatch again. It didn't bother me. The Solo one, Han Solo was like okay, it
Solo
wasn't
was
great,
awesome. Solo,
and then
Solo, I enjoyed out of all the newer ones. Solo would be.
gotcha.
Um, loads of my friends absolutely loved the hell out of Rogue One, and
Yeah,
for me, for Star Wars, the original was just watchable. You could just watch it and watch it and watch it, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah.
And Solo had the same effect. It made me feel like I
Gotcha.
was a kid again watching
Yep.
like the original Star Wars, whereas Rogue One was the first Star Wars war movie, and I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. I like
but
the space battles in particular. I really enjoyed them. The Battle of Scarif was
it's
awesome.
not like the feel good Star Wars type thing in a way. Not that Star Wars is all feel good, but there is a definite
Yeah, it was very Empire in the
yeah.
feel, but I I'm a little bit. I would have liked like Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor to have escaped, sort of thing.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, but it's it was a good ending. It's like the unusual,
It
and they
was
didn't.
impactful. It was like I was like, oh man, that was like it was really tough. I was like, okay, and I think for me a lot of it was the world, that robot. It had its own quirky personality in a way, but to me it fit in world. I definitely see it like maybe we say what it was like a darker feeling to it. Well, it obviously did or whatever, but yeah, that one. I don't mind what I think when my choice when they do the reboots or whatever. It's like don't try to capture the exact feel and whatever of the movies. Like, kind of be like, hey, this is another thing. It's another chapter. It's got to be a little different, and you got to like establish a little bit of its own thing while still, I guess, what honoring or being in the same like general area. But
Yeah,
they,
it's difficult in that respect because of the
yeah,
you know they like the original Star Wars. They didn't really have a clue of
no,
that it would
no,
be
dude.
successful.
No, no, my God. That's why it was so epic that they like, everything's like tied together, sort of I mean, it's just super talented people, man. That's like the story of Star Wars. Like to me, Star Wars is cool, extra just because of what they were doing at the time. You know what I mean? Because I like read up a lot of like Phil Tippett and all those guys doing their thing and how ILM started and just the camera techniques and everything. They were like really pushing it.
Oh, absolutely. It was
King Crimson blames the director on the newer movies, I think.
um
Or
see
yeah,
that's the
I know like the second batch of Star Wars movies.
so the prequels because it was George
Yeah,
Lucas. And
yeah,
I think he took that on board because and he didn't like anyone else directing because of what actually happened with Irving Kershner when he
hmm
directed Empire, and everyone thinks Empire was the best of the original
yeah,
three. So
yeah,
ego probably had something to do with it. Um,
yeah.
so that doesn't help because I know because I had things like that. What's his face? Um, Steven Spielberg one like even said
Oh
like
yeah,
I would love to direct a Star Wars, but then again, would George let his mate, his best buddy,
yeah,
do that and do a better job than what he would? And that's the thing. It was like that whole ego thing. Also
yeah,
think that the editing probably didn't help, and because the only Oscar that I think they won in the original lot was for editing, which was
yeah,
George Lucas's ex-wife.
yeah. It
Uh,
was. Yep. Yeah.
who done that. So and again, he's like, she got an Oscar for Star Wars because of editing, sort of thing. So it makes you
And
wonder if the how bad it might have been
dude,
if she had done it and got the Oscar, but she weren't obviously around for the next lot. Um,
and Star Wars got like you imagine from George Lucas' perspective. I mean, especially at that age when he did like you can't imagine that something that got that big like it's like true cultural juggernaut, you know what I mean, dude? And like so you're doing a movie, you're messing with your thing and like, hey, I'm doing my art stuff and it's cool and I'm gonna make a movie and then it just blows up into this thing. So it's like the I don't know what like how much you get tied up into like it being your baby, you know what I mean? Like I mean Star Wars and something like, hey, and like some people would be knocking George or whatever, and I'm like, and I was for me as a fan, I was like not upset, but like I wanted to see George's story. So when they did the three new ones, I was like, okay. What really threw me is like I'm first off, it's not the way George imagined it, and like Hell or High Water, like he was the quote unquote way I see it as the artist. Like I would like to see your story when you thought of your movies. Like what's that story? You know what I mean? And so I think that's partly what threw me with the reboots is like the first one I saw it was a solid enough movie, but I basically saw it as a retelling of Star Wars. You know what I mean? It was almost a reboot of that Star Wars movie. And I was just like, George wouldn't have done that. You know what I mean? I was like, that's not what would have been in that series of movies. And I think that's kind of why the new ones right away didn't kind of grip me or whatever.
well,
Probably
I think
bias.
the latest ones, the sequels were they like the Force Awakens. There was a lot of potential there,
Hmm.
and I think like the whole thing with like Finn got waylaid because everyone thought that he was the Jedi, and then it turns out to be
Yeah,
Rey.
yeah.
And I had no problem with that at all. That was cool,
Hmm.
but it would be nice to like even like Finn and Poe, like their friendship, bromance, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
That could have gone down a very different way. I wouldn't have minded that either between those two because they
Hmm.
just had chemistry together.
Yeah.
Um, and you could have accepted like, oh yeah, it's like the first Star Wars like gay relationship. You go, yeah, but it's Poe and Finn. They're badasses, and they're great actors together because I loved all their scenes together.
Yeah.
Like even during the escape, and he's like, "Hey, nice to meet you," and all that sort of thing. It's like there was like a great sort of thing about them, and again, even like with Finn and Ray, there was a good sort of thing there as well. And there was like
Yeah.
it was like a triangle. Was there like a love triangle going on?
Hmm.
And those little stupid and cheesy, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think they had more with that. They could have done with that, and obviously Harrison Ford getting killed off because I think that he wanted to do that anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Solo, um, but I think that with what they went with, they said the first one there was nothing wrong there. They had things, and then obviously everything changed when Ryan Johnson come on, but he was given a remit of what to do, and he was to basically kill off certain characters to bring in the new Disneyfied sort
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
characters, sort of thing. And it just
Yeah.
didn't pan out because you know, um, and the whole treatment of Luke. Luke got to do fuck all really. Um,
Yeah, see that, yeah, yeah, okay, so there was something with that too. I was kind of like, what is like, I don't even know what point uh, I don't even know what Luke did, like on the comeback trail. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, wait, he was like disgruntled, and then like I don't know, learned some lesson about the Force, and then was like, hey man, I gotta do something at the end or something. I don't even
and then on the third one, the director who was in charge, Trevelio or whatever his name was, John Trevelio, I think. He like had like a plan or whatever, and things, and then it got you know people from above, below,
Every,
side giving.
everybody has a plan, so you get punched in the mouth or whatever it is for the
Yeah, so he just basically walked from that, and then JJ came back and then tried to redo some of the stuff that Ryan Johnson had set in motion. So it's basically it was a clusterfuck. Um,
They one thing I didn't like about that last one was I couldn't grasp it. So I'm not the best movie follower, but like it just seemed the whole. I don't even know what they didn't they like go on some like when they went to the casino or whatever. It was almost like this. I don't know. It was like trying to be like two different movies in one or something. That was just like something was like really throwing me off. Like all this serious stuff's going out, and then it's like this happy like casino adventure or something. Like there was some story element in that I didn't like ponder enough, but like that timing or what was going on in the actual story kind of like threw me off with that.
yeah, I think there was a little. I don't know. It was a bit. It's like sowing the seeds of rebellion or whatever. But
Yeah,
Finn is not. Yeah, yes, he was a figurehead. Like he had more effect in the last one with the escaped
yeah,
stormtrooper. So that actually had a nice little thing to it. But then again, that didn't really get much mileage out of it. I think they would have done better if Finn had, I don't know, either gone off and basically said like find some remnants of the Republic fleet or whatever, and got
yeah,
them together, and then came along, had a space battle that allowed the rebellion to sort of get away,
Yeah.
or I don't know. Um, and I think with killing off Carrie Fisher and obviously the untimely death, I think that they
Yeah.
should have had that as her death. They should have like because she
Yeah.
died way like a year before the film was released,
Yeah.
and I think that would have played in better to have her death, like because I always say this, like when Kylo Ren is flying along in his TIE fighter with the two dudes with him, and
Yeah.
he's holding back, he's not firing, he's not committing, and he's like the sense between her and him.
Yeah.
And I think that with the other dude firing on his behalf and killing her would have had more of an like a psychological and emotional effect
Yeah.
on him to sort of snap him out of his dark path because
Mm-hmm.
like she could be saying Ben I love you or something and then suddenly
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I can see that for sure.
you know and then that would have like he would have gone wait a second, the first order are a bunch of assholes
Yeah,
they
for
killed
real.
them
I mean,
they killed them
yeah, that,
all!
yeah, no, but for real on that, yeah, that might shake you out of a little something.
Yeah and it just makes a little bit more like context for what happens later. And you know, they misused Snoke unless you read the books.
Oh, don't even get me. What was that dude's point? Like, so I don't even know, like, you, from a, like, fanboy's point of view, like, you to me like that character had no menace or no, I didn't think it was cool, I didn't think he was menacing, I didn't like they tried to portray it as something and I was like what, like I kept thinking it was gonna be, oh it's gonna be something revealed where he's like god he's like cool in this way, or oh yeah they're like gonna build up and he's gonna be really surprised and cool that way, and it was like no, none of that. And that was, I'm like, so that's kind of like your big, I'm like, and I get it from like a creator standpoint. I'm like, I always feel bad for the people involved because like, oh my God, how much shit you must get. Like, you know what I mean? And like, so what if your second movie of Star Wars was like the greatest one? Like I do paintovers, right? Some come out really cool, some come out meh. And then like, so then you put out a man one, and everyone's like, "You suck. This ain't as good as your last one." Like, what are you thinking? Why did you do that? It doesn't look. Just do it like you did the other one. And it's like, oh my God, dude, I'm trying here. I'm telling some little space story, guys. Like,
And they misused Snoke. They misused well, they underused Snoke. They underused and misused Phasma.
dude,
Um,
that was, we talked about the last time. And so
yeah,
that's an example of, you had me hooked. You had a cool character, looked cool. You had like, you got me in with the simplistic, you know what I mean? You like, you got the Boba Fett effect, effect where like, I think it's cool, it's unique, it stands out. Now do something cool. And that was the same thing. It was like, well, where was her like big moment where you kind of feared her, or you know what I mean? Like that never happened for me. And I was like, wait a second, you didn't do that one? I'm like, you had me with the cool character, the cool actress, like all that stuff, and then you just didn't do much with it. And that's the kind of things where that's what like bother me. Just weird things like that. I'm like, here's a cool character, and you didn't like
yeah.
entertain me with it.
The only cool scene that she really has in the second movie, and they cut it. It's
Yeah, I think
like
you had brought that up. Yeah.
yeah, you know, it's just like a showdown with Finn,
Hmm.
and again, she could have survived that because
And
the
had
ship
the showdown at the
blow
end
up
with him
and
instead
just
of saying,
fell out of sight. So she could
yeah,
survive, come back in the third one, and like maybe she's a little bit, cybernetic up, and she's like really hates Finn, really hates
yeah,
Finn,
for
and has
sure.
that, that brutality and letting go. But they just made her look like a patsy, you know.
In I think we talked about this at one point too. What was, and I could be misremembering, but it was like they went to do the dramatic showdown with Finn's character, right? And it was just like some nobody stormtrooper. Like, is that what happened? Am I remembering wrong? Where like the what movie was in where the guy flips out
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
blue
yeah.
and
It was a nobody stormtrooper, but
but
because everybody loved him, he got a backstory given to him.
and
So
I'm down with that, but I
he's
was like,
designated.
story wise, if you're gonna have a showdown, you should have
It's
you like it shouldn't
Phasma.
build up to a showdown with nobody. Like here's a
No, it should be
nobody.
Phasma. He
Yeah,
should.
yeah, that's what you had said last time. I was like, dude,
Yeah,
there's your like, you know what I mean? And like instead they so it's hard for me to put a finger where like why wasn't I didn't like really just thought
yeah. He should
they
have been
missed a
this
lot of those notes.
TR8R traitor. You know, it
Yeah.
should have been Phasma standing on the rubble of Maz's cantina, shouting out "traitor" sort of thing. You know,
Yeah, dude. And then like
because
yeah.
she cut him some slack early on after he's like awakening to his
Mm-hmm.
emotions, um, and you know she should have been the one to fight him there, and then like
Mm-hmm.
they, you know, he doesn't like he doesn't kill her, and something happens like there's an explosion. One of the like Tie fighters
Yeah.
crashes, and they get separated, and then the
Yeah.
withdrawal. Kylo's got what he wants, and she goes off and goes, "Oh, next time, Batman," and off she
Yeah,
goes.
and that's just that's a story thing that I think most fans like to me that's not a hard one. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, hey, he has to fight somebody. Who's it going to be with? A nobody or you know, and that was the yeah, the bummer about them missing those kind of story notes to me.
Yeah,
And so it's like, so that it's just like a little it's like, oh, okay. I look at the
because
reviews
I
and
can
stuff.
imagine Phasma being a spiteful bitch and
Yeah.
deliberately hunt, but they know he's there,
Yeah,
and
for sure,
she would go
dude.
looking for him specifically because he brought dishonor to the Stormtrooper Legion,
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah.
and that would have given her a whole sort of background that she she is like a hard taskmaster, and there's a
Yeah.
reason why she has the all silver suit because
And
she's
I
like
know it's that's it,
top
dude.
notch.
It's a silver suit, and the other thing was the bar about that is I love that actress from like the Games of Thrones. I'm like,
Oh
oh
yeah, yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
you can, yeah,
Brianna
like you
Tarth,
can pull,
brilliant.
yeah, like you could pull off a character. You know what I mean? You could be like that. You know, some people, it's like you know how it is acting. It's like okay, they're that person acting. Like with her, I feel like it's a little more like, hey, this character or whatever you want to say. You know, it's just something that way. Like Bruce Willis to me is always Bruce Willis.
Like and the other thing they don't utilize is the Knights of Ren. The
I
whole
know
thing about
that's
Knights of Ren,
yeah,
they get
yeah.
underused as well.
Okay,
I
that's
think that again they should have if they're going to kill Luke off, they should have had the Knights of Ren do it.
so okay. I watched all the movies. Granted, like I said, I'm not the person who pays the most attention, but I can't remember anything cool. So I saw the preview, right? I'm like, oh, there's Knights of Ren. I'm like, okay, dude, you got these bad guys who roll with you. You know what I mean? You're this guy, like you're gonna have this awesome squad, and you're gonna show them. They're gonna be feared because they're gonna be wrecked. I can't remember anything that they did. I honestly can't remember anything that they did. And I'm like, you have all these cool guys and nothing. I don't know. There's like no reason to fear them or didn't show them being like if you're from an entertainment, it's like the Titans or whatever. Whenever you do a Titan, you try to show it off in its best light, and they just didn't try to show any of it off to me. It was like, okay, well, show me why these guys are cool, and like didn't. And I think it's just I think you have a property that is so big and there's so many people involved in all that you just can't maneuver something like that. So I feel I like I said I feel bad like not bad but I mean just the directors, the artists, and all that you put all that work on, and it's just such a colossus juggernaut that you know what I mean, everybody has opinion and all that stuff, man.
Yeah, it's all a bit crap.
But I mean at least they'll get paid enough.
Yeah, they won't go hungry.
Yeah, if you're gonna take a bunch of crap, at least make some money out of it.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we've been here for a while, haven't we? You
Yeah, well,
gotta
I was
your
just
your stream starts when? 15
in
minutes, bro?
15 minutes time.
We will call it a day for now. Thanks everyone for joining. Crimson, glad you're hanging in there and not flooded out. Appreciate everybody. Edicus had stopped by. Josh A. I will retweet his stuff later um, on Twitter for his cool 3D building. And then Engine Phil's already checked out, but appreciate him stopping by as well. Lee, I might end up stopping by. What are you working on tonight?
Just doing. I'm going for a massive rebase paint job of my Emperor's Children because I like a different color.
God, I wish this same program. I wish like since I pay for this, I wish we could like use it where like then I could drop in. Like it
Mm.
sucks that it's only like a one person. You know what I mean? I'm like, and this is an expensive ass thing. It's a bummer because I'm like, dude, I want to come in and like shout on your stream. Like, what are you working on,
Yeah,
dude?
well,
Show
that's the
this,
thing.
dude.
Somebody did say I might be able to sort of invite somebody in via on the Discord. If we were talking on the Discord, then I can add
Oh,
them.
you can do interesting.
But I've
Yeah,
not
there's
experimented with that at all since they told me. So I need to sort of
one
like what
day.
you did before you started like doing all these different live streams, and
Yeah,
you done like, late night just doing a little test thing.
yeah.
I've really got to sort of do that, I guess, and
Do it up.
get on it.
Everyone, if you're still hobbying out there, oh, buy it later, Josh, and later, Engine. Go check out Forge of Mars. Get him in trouble. Give him some likes. Give